What were the features of feudalism? Understand, I have already discussed ruralization was there. So it will be a village, because land is the entity. We are everything talking about land. So it will be a village based economy. Okay. There will be decline of trade and commerce. We have already seen, right? Towns, they either vanished or totally they shrank, because no trade and commerce. Then the people will move back to the hinterlands. This again I'll compare to Gupta period, where what happens when the trade and commerce decline, the artisans who are living in an urbanized town, they move back to the hinterlands of Mandsaur. Okay. Land over here is the source of power. The person who is having more land, okay, because he has the power to tax, he has the power to mint the coins. So he is the one who is going to ultimately have all the power, because the king is dependent on that person for the standing army. Okay. So lords granted land to the vassal in return for the military and other services. Apart from this, there was a rigid social structure. There was a clergy who prayed. There were the nobles and knights who fought. And there were the peasants and serfs who worked. Okay, now understand that there was totally a mutual obligation between the vassal and the lord. Lords protected their vassal, and vassals gave their loyalty and military services and a share of produce. Okay. So lord vassal relationship, basically it's a king feud relationship, which was asked in UPSC exam. Now, understand this, that how was the social organization divided at that point of time. The first order people over here were the priests. Okay. The Christians, they were guided by the bishops, okay, and the clerics or the clergy. The Pope, he became the head of the religious activities. Women could not become the priest, and they had the right to levy taxes. Understand, if this is a social hierarchy, okay, this is the upper strata, lower, and the last strata. The first one is your the priests. Okay, the second one is your noble and the knights, and the third one is your peasant. So when I will be discussing French Revolution, remember it over there also, that the upper strata includes a very less part of the population, but these are the one who are levying the taxes, who are not paying the taxes. Okay. And the lowest strata, the peasants, they are the one who are most burdened with the taxes, and they are the huge number of people. Okay. So the person who is going to levy the taxes, definitely he is going to be in a powerful position. Clergies, basically the Catholic Church, they had their own laws, they owned lands given to it by the rulers, and they levied the taxes. It was a very powerful institution that did not depend on the king. I have already said you that state and the church, all the moral authority, supreme authority was with the church at that point of time. There were certain monks, there were certain Christian devout monks who were living in complete religious isolation in the monasteries. So these were the part of the first segment of the social organization. Now understand that it was the second section over here, the second order, or the land owing nobles. Now land is the term, or you can also say the feudal lords over here, that they were the vassal of the king. They enjoyed the privileged status and absolutely controlled their own property. They could raise troops and mint their own money. When I was discussing it over here, I had told you that in each pocket there is a vassal 1, vassal 2, vassal 3, so on, so on, so on, right? Tax, yes, whatever he is giving to the king cannot be accountable, right? He will have its own army, right? He can mint the coins. So all these things have been existing, okay? This made them very powerful. After this vassal, basically this is known as Lord Vassal system, okay? In this system, a noble, basically he accepted the king as his lord, and in return he promised to pay a loyalty towards the king, okay? And in fact, a lot of written charters were given. Even the cloud of earth as a symbol of land was given to the feudal lord by the king. Is it clear? Now understand, one more term which is used here is manorial estate. Okay, it is a place, it is a lord's house, okay, which is known as the manor's house. He controlled some of the peasants' villages in the manorial state. Almost everything for the daily needs was there, like blacksmiths, carpenters, they all maintained the equipments, and stonemasons also were present over there. So this was entirely that feudal village or the area, you can say it was a manorial state. Knights, again, knights were those people who actually were the cavalrymen. They were actually the real people who were required by the king during the time of the war. So it is said that knights controlled the small estates, but they had to serve their lord as the cavalry. They were the regular feudal wars in Europe. Okay, so the wealthy peasants and the landowners, they became the knights. It is said that even the son of a noble could be made a knight. Understand that the knight's fief is the feud. Fief is the feud or the land or the salary, because the payment was done in form of land. It consisted of a house for himself and his family, church settlements, farmlands, peasants and craftsmen. You all have must seen that series, na? Vikings on Netflix. There they are showing all these knights and feudal lords, and I can't I think I'm not able to remember the exact series where they are showing this, right? I think Vikings is the one. One dragon movie was also there. Okay, so they could serve more than one lord, but they remained loyal to his own lord. Now, the third order over here is the peasants and the serf. Now, understand there is a difference between those. Peasants were those who had their own lands, but they worked as the tenants under the lords. They had to give the military service for at least 40 days in a year, and they worked on the lord's fief for 3 days every week. Apart from the labor services, they had to dig the ditches, okay? They had to gather the firewood, they had to build the fences, spinning thread, preparing the wine. Understand that this labor service in ancient India was known as Vishti. Okay, and this Vishti is bonded labor. And UPSC in 2019 prelims has asked this question, what is Vishti? Mostly you will see during the time of Gupta Empire. Is it clear? Now, also these peasants, they had to pay a tax which is known as delight to the king. Understand that after this, serf were those who used to till the lord's land, okay? Most of the produce they had to submit it to the lord, and they worked on the land without the wages. Now this is the difference which makes it different from the peasant. Okay, in fact, they were so bound to their lords that even if they had to marry someone, they have to take the permission of their lord. Okay, and if the serf wished to choose, the lord could give him consent, but only on a payment of a fee. Now you understand, while I was discussing in the introduction, the part of consent becomes most essential during the time of enlightenment age, where people start questioning, critical thinking, right? Consent of a human being becomes important. Now you see the kind of bondage and slavery that they need to have a consent of the lord.